Hey, what is up guys, and welcome for another first Descendant video. What I want to talk about today is Kyle, and how his damage has basically skyrocketed from hitting a few million to tens of millions right now. Even one-shotting almost all the bosses that you can play as solo. He can one-shot them with his 4th skill, and with the recent update that brought Luna and Alt Valby, Kyle seems to have massively changed. There has been no mention of any changes made to Kyle in the patch notes, other than just some bug fixes to his dash skill. But something has definitely changed with his ultimate skill. I have made a theory and come up with some solid findings with all my games as to why Kyle is doing so much damage right now. First of all, it's the Python. Now the Python has a very unique ability in which you can attack the boss's weak points and that will inflict the prey status. Now what this does is that it lowers the enemy's non-attribute resistance by 2% and then a further 3.6% per stack. And Kyle is non-attribute, so this works amazing on him. And then you can stack this effect up to 28 times if you have maxed out the weapon, making it so that the non-attribute resistance on a boss can reach a full minus 100%, which is absolutely crazy. But the biggest problem is that the debuff only lasts 2 seconds, and by the time Kyle lifts up and goes into attack, the debuff is already removed. You can clearly see here, before Kyle has even landed his attack, the debuff is already gone. But, and this is just from testing, is that even if the debuff doesn't show on the boss, it is still in effect and it's slowly degrading. So even if you don't technically see the prey status on the boss, it's still there. Here is a look. In this fight, I go in and I don't attack it with the Python at all, without hitting the boss with Python, and even though the effect is never actually on the boss when we land our attack, the 4th skill does horrible damage. No matter how much I try, the damage will never be that high. Now we do the same thing, but just before we attack with our 4th skill, we hit him a couple of times with our Python. And here we one-shot the boss. You can clearly see the prey effect was never on the boss when we landed, but the damage still hit tremendously high. So somehow the prey effect is still on the boss even though it doesn't technically show it. And now another factor to the damage that he does is the distance. For some reason, and my goal was to always hit them fully with my Python and then quickly hit them before those 2 seconds were off. But that is also not the case. If I hit them with Python, but I am so close to the boss, the damage is once again terrible. It's not so bad, but it's still not as much as what you saw before. Anytime if I do the exact same thing as before, hitting it with Python and then using my skill, if I'm really close to the boss, the damage once again drops off. But once again from my testing, I saw that if you hit them with Python and then actually fly a little longer before actually landing, it does more damage. Once again, here's an example. Here I'm really close to the boss, and no matter what the damage is, it never will reach its peak. It's always very low compared to what we usually get. But if we attack them from a distance, the damage increases. It's like the longer and more you travel, the skill reaches its peak damage. Other than these 2 things, I can't really pinpoint as to why his damage has suddenly become so high. He can absolutely shred every single boss solo, and even the likes of Frostwalker get completely destroyed. The damage is also so high, and even if I do manage to crit in some scenarios, then you can just imagine how high the damage numbers will be. A quick look at the build that I'm using. We use the Secret Garden to get our magnetic resource at the start of the fights just by spamming our 2nd and 3rd skills. As those are both dimension skills, we'll get our resource back mostly before the boss even spawns. Then Python, make sure it's maxed out so you can get the best effect. My reactor isn't even the best yet, as I could use more tick skill power, but it's still great for what damage that you saw right now. Then for all your components, get as much shields as you can. Defense and health don't matter if you're one-shotting the bosses anyway. And looking at the mods, we get as much non-attribute skill power as we can, and as much shields as we can as well. Shields basically increase the amount of damage that your ult will do, so stacking up on more shields is always good for Kyle. Then we get as much cooldowns as we can. Without our cooldowns, we can't really spam our 2nd and 3rd skill to get our resources fast enough. So cooldowns are actually pretty important for this build. Then just more skill power and skill power modifiers. You don't really need multi-talented, I just use it for even more cooldowns when we use our dimension skills. You can add in some crit hit rate or crit hit damage if you wanted to, but that's up to you. Our health is very low, to around 900, so even adding in some more HP mods for a bit more survivability can also be a good option, if you don't have all the items that you see here. Other than that, I hope you all enjoyed the video. I'm not sure if the high damage he does is a bug or anything, but I'm really liking how he feels right now. Crazy high damage is just what I like to see on this guy, and that's just what we have right now. Let me know what you all think about this, or if you have made any findings on Kyle, let me know. I would love to hear from what you guys have come up with on why he's being so strong right now. I will catch you all next time.